They liked the balance that they had in race.
Casey Kane, we congratulate him, his third career pole.
It's all three Hendrick Motorsports in the front.
There's a few movers and shakers out there.
Carl Edwards free falling for a couple of victory lane is Joey Logano.
Get the inside line on who's fast and who's last before setting your NASCAR fantasy race team lineup this weekend. This is the Inside Line on MRN.com, presented by Hercules Tires. Now, here are your fantasy experts, Robbie Mays and Tyler Burnett.
Welcome to the second race of the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. We're heading to Loudon, New Hampshire. This is Robbie Mays. I'm Tyler Burnett, and we're here to talk fantasy racing as we do each and every week. Robbie, exciting finish in Chicago, late race restart. Chase Elliott almost wins his first race. All those storylines coming out of Chicago weekend.
Chase Elliott almost won his first race. Ryan Blaney almost won his first race. A bunch of guys who needed to have good days kind of struggled a little bit on Sunday at Chicagoland. And then it was Martin Truex Jr., his third win of the 2016 season. And if you go back and think about it, Tyler, he has as many wins this year as he had in the first, 9 years of his Sprint Cup Series career combined. So, banner season for Martin Truex Jr., obviously a banner season for Furniture Row Racing. And clearly those guys, I think, are going to be a force as we go forward during the chase. Some really strong racetracks coming up for him. And we talked last week, Tyler, about drivers on mile-and-a-half racetracks in 2016 and how they've done. And clearly Martin Truex Jr., one of the best averages so far, and he proved that on Sunday.
Yeah, I was going to say, Truex was no surprise. As far as all of us had him on our team, Rich did, we both did. A lot of us picked him as a winner. I forgot to change him because I said Carl Edwards is going to win because all you guys had Truex. And then I forgot to change Truex off of my win list. So the what's my team name?
Asterisk.
Hashtag Beat Ruby had a pretty good day last week because I had Truex as my winner. I had Toyota as my manufacturer.
No. You did not have Truex as your winner. You forgot to change Truex.
But I had a good day because I forgot to change it, yes.
You forgot to change it.
How did the Stat Boy Spurs do?
Not important. I had fun playing the game.
They're also carrying a lot of momentum throughout the chase. Anyways,
my fantasy football team did really well.
Yeah, they did. What was it, like 125 or something?
I won by 64 points.
You scored double the amount of points of me.
Yeah.
This week. But we didn't mention this last week. I beat you in fantasy last week. Not this week, but the week prior.
It's a fantasy racing show, right?
It's fantasy anything.
Okay.
Anyways, I had Ryan Blaney on my team this past week, which was a big start. Blaney finished fourth, stayed out late on tires, which was a pretty good call, I would think. But anyways, we have a cool show coming up today. Mike Forde is going to be on the show, Senior Manager of Content Communications for NASCAR IMC Department. Really, he's known for being Loop Dog on Sirius XM Fantasy because he's so heavily involved in loop data. And he'll tell you that the best way to set your fantasy lineup this week will probably be on driver rating. And so that's one of his favorite stats. We'll talk to him. We'll also give our teams. We'll do that dumb under the rock segment we always do. And apparently we have invited some new elements to this. Is that correct?
It's a multi-element under the rock.
No, but we have a new what do they call? Like, we have a rock or something, like an actual rock.
We'll see.
Now.
Let's go to break.
Anyways, let's go to break. We'll be back talking about our fantasy teams. This is the Inside Line Fantasy Racing Show presented by Hercules Tires.
Tyler and Robbie will be right back to talk more fantasy racing here on the Inside Line.
O'Reilly. Greasy grime on your vehicle could take hours to clean, but not with Super Clean. Right now at O'Reilly Auto Parts, buy one bottle of Super Clean all-wheel, multi-purpose, or foaming degreaser and get one free. Plus, earn double points during O Rewards Member Appreciation Month. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day. Limit supply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts. Kansas Speedway here, and this time I am not sorry, because if you're into NASCAR, then this commercial is for you. If you're not into NASCAR, but you're into playoff-style sports, then this commercial is still for you. If you're not into NASCAR, not into playoff-style sports, but you enjoy epic tailgating, then this commercial is for you. Because Sunday, October 16th, you can have it all, or at least one thing you're into.
The chase is on as the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series Championship comes to Kansas. Get your tickets to the Hollywood Casino 400 at kansasspeedway.com.
Get all the reactions and latest word from the track immediately following each race weekend on MRN's Motorsports Monday with Woody Kane and Joey Meyer.
Johnny Sauter drives the number 21 Chevrolet Silverado.
I didn't know that necessarily we'd win first race of the year.
Log on to MRN.com every Monday at noon Eastern or stream the program from the MRN Media Center on demand. It's MRN Motorsports Monday, only on the Motor Racing Network. Let's talk more fantasy racing on The Inside Line. Here's Robbie and Tyler.
The NASCAR Camping World Truck Series will compete this Saturday, and Motor Racing Network will be live at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time with that broadcast. Currently, practice is going on, but you'll be able to see Sprint Cup Series qualifying once you finish up watching our show, of course, and that's at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. That our friends at PRN will be covering that and the rest of the New Hampshire Cup races. The NASCAR Xfinity Series is competing in Kentucky Saturday night. Both the trucks and the Xfinity Series will start their chase this weekend. Of course, the Sprint Cup Series is in their second race of their chase, and we are going to talk about the fantasy heading into that weekend. So, Robbie Mays, your number one pick heading to the flat track, the Magic Mile of New Hampshire Motor Speedway.
I think my number one pick, Tyler, and I think everybody's number one pick should be the guy who's won the last two times we've gone to the Granite State. That's Matt Kenseth at $26.50 this week. 3 straight top 10s at New Hampshire. It could have been 7 straight top 10s in a row, though. Before the fall of 2014, he had 3 straight top 10s. The fall of 2014, spent a whole bunch of that day in the top 10, finished in 21st after contact late in that race. But I like Matt Kenseth every time we go here. It's a flat, short track. That's his forte. And the Gibbs cars really get around this racetrack very, very well in recent years. 33 starts. He's got 3 wins, 18 top 10 finishes, and he has the second best 10-race average at a 7.6. So I like Matt Kenseth this weekend.
Yeah, the Gibbs cars are very good on short, flat tracks right now. We saw in Richmond, Denny Hamlin dominated that race. Martin Truex Jr. led a lot of laps there as well. Of course, he's a Toyota. He's a Gibbs Alliance car. Kenseth, I agree with you, should be on your team. I don't, however, agree with you that he should be your number one pick. Matt Kenseth is on my team. He has 2 wins in a row at New Hampshire. I believe you already said that. Second best average finish over the last 10 races. He's only finished out of the top 10 3 times in the last 10 races at Loudon. And, of course, his worst finish being 21st. So Kenseth is on my team. However, my number one pick heading into this weekend is Joey Logano. Now, I will go back to at some point this year or maybe last year where I have ruined a couple streaks for Joey Logano. I will say that.
Yep.
I have started him when he's expected to finish in the top 5. And right now he's currently riding a 4-race top 5 streak at New Hampshire. His 3rd straight podium finish was in the spring. His last 4 finishes at New Hampshire are a win in this race in 2014, a 4th-place finish in the spring of 2015, and then back-to-back 3rd-place finishes. So this could potentially be Joey Logano's 5th straight top 5 finish, and I think he does it this week, crossing my fingers because I have ruined some streaks for him in the past.
Yeah.
But Logano is very good at New Hampshire.
Yeah, that scares me. You got him on your team this week. I like the pick. I'll talk more about him later on in the show. Martin Truex Jr. is second on my list this week. And we talked about this last week. Historically, Chicagoland Speedway had never been all that kind to Martin Truex Jr., and he goes out and wins the race. New Hampshire, same story basically. Not that great here. He was 16th in July. His best finish here is 3rd in the July race back in 2007. 21 starts. He's got 3 top 5s, 7 top 10s, an average finish of 14th, and his 10-race average is a 13.0. That's 11 highest. His driver rating really isn't that great either. But, again, we talked about it last week. This team is streaky right now. This team is one of the best teams in the garage right now. I think they have the potential to win the championship. And, again, Gibbs' car basically gets around New Hampshire very well. So I'm pulling for the Gibbs camp this weekend, I think.
My only appeal to Truex is that he has a win already. He's going into the next round. He does not care what happens this weekend besides him standing in victory lane again. So Truex is throwing everything. Truex, Colpern, all those guys at Forde Racing, they're throwing everything at that car to win this race this weekend, and that's it. So that's why Truex is appealing to me. Plus, he led a lot of laps at Richmond. So Truex, I think, is a solid pick. I have another Toyota driver. Denny Hamlin is on my team. Anytime you go to a short, flat track, you have to think about Denny Hamlin. He's one of the best in the garage at short track racing. Second place finish in this race last year, 9th in the spring. He won this race in 2012. I look at his dominating performance at Richmond as kind of the benchmark, and maybe we'll ask Mike Forde about this, how they compare. But I think Hamlin could be the guy to beat this weekend, or any Gibbs driver for that matter is going to be a good start. So Hamlin's on my team as well.
Yeah, I think you can pull any of the Gibbs cars out of a hat. Maybe not Carl Edwards, but definitely the 20, the 11, and possibly the 18 could definitely be good picks. Talking about Kyle's, our driver's name Kyle, I've got a Kyle. Kyle Larson is back on my team this week. 5 starts at New Hampshire, finished 3rd in his first race here in the spring of 2014, and then 2nd in the fall of that year. 31st the next race in the summer of 2015, but he was 17th in the next 2 races last fall and back in July at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. I like Kyle Larson. We've talked about this before. I like what he's doing right now. 2 top 5s and 5 starts at New Hampshire Motor Speedway, so I'm going to keep him on the team for another week. I've got him $1.25 cheaper than what he currently costs.
Yeah, I had him $1.75 cheaper, but I dropped him because I wanted to mix up the team a little bit this week. Plus the 3 31st, 17th, 17th starts to worry me a little bit at New Hampshire. This just isn't his type of racetrack. I mean, high-banked, big tracks are his forte. Short, flat tracks are not his forte. We go to Dover next week. That's where I think you start Kyle Larson again because he finished well there the last time,
Yeah, and had a chance to win in the spring race at Dover. But I still like New Hampshire. I think this flat track might suit him a little bit better than some of the other flat tracks we go to.
It's just a matter of not wanting to drop him. You look at the value of him right now. I had him at $23 and something change. I think he's like $26 now, or $25. I can't really do math. But Kyle Larson cost a lot more than you have him locked in, or I had him locked in, and potentially you watching have him locked in at a cheaper rate too. So keep him if you want to. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is on my team this week. He's my 4th pick, 10th in the spring, one of his best racetracks. The last 3 races, his worst finish is a 17th place finish. So Stenhouse joins my team, and then Matt DiBenedetto rounds out my team. Probably will get you a solid 30th place finish, I would say. I have him locked in at $4.75, which is the cheapest out of anybody right now. Jeffrey Earnhardt is $5, which is, if you don't have DiBenedetto locked in at $4.75, is the cheapest. And Matt is probably going to be better than Jeffrey Earnhardt, I would think.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I'll round out my team. I've also got Stenhouse, $14. I've got him locked in for. I also had him last week. And then I've got Chris Buescher again because he's $4.75 cheaper, what I've got him locked in for than he is currently right now. 29th in July. Got to push the envelope a little bit this weekend to make the top 12.
Yeah.
So I think
definitely.
they're going to be taking some risks on Sunday.
Couple sleepers, Greg Biffle, 2 top 5s in a row at New Hampshire. Blaney was 11th in the spring. Tony Stewart was 2nd in New Hampshire. I'm not sure about Tony Stewart. He has a very high driver rating. We'll have to ask Mike Forde about that. And then Jamie McMurray has always been good at flat, short tracks as well. So those are some sleepers. We're going to take a break, and then we'll come back. We'll talk to Mike Forde. We'll continue our show here on the Inside Line Fantasy Racing Show, presented by Hercules Tires.
We'll be right back in just a moment to talk more fantasy racing with Tyler and Robbie here on the Inside Line.
O'Reilly. O'Rewards Member Appreciation Month at O'Reilly Auto Parts is ending soon. You won't want to miss the store-wide savings and double-point deals on over 225 items. And if you're not already a member, sign up today during O'Rewards Member Appreciation Month. It's fast, easy, and free at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Live sports are the one true reality entertainment, where a single dramatic moment can become timeless. In NASCAR, Motor Racing Network's live broadcasts elevate your senses to the sights, sounds, and struggles taking place on the racetrack.
Keselowski to the bottom of the racetrack. He tries to slide up. Newman is there. Sideways is Keselowski.
The power of radio to the imagination of the listener. Tune in to the Motor Racing Network. Visit MRN.com for an affiliate list in your local area.
Motor Racing Network glad to have you aboard for our coverage of practice, something we will be doing all throughout the year.
They are pretty close in practice.
You said you learned a lot in practice.
We can have a good, clean practice.
How many teams are going to opt out of practice?
Get this practice session underway.
As we close out practice.
What are we talking about? Practice? We're talking about practice, man.
We are talking practice. Sprint Cup Series practice on the Motor Racing Network. Join us all season long on MRN.com and the MRN app. We now return to the Inside Line with Robbie Mays and Tyler Burnett.
Sprint Cup Series qualifying will be very important coming up here at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Robbie, you always have the stats, but how many winners have we had from the pole?
5 times at New Hampshire Motor Speedway has the driver starting in position number 1 gone on to win the race. Twice has a driver swept the races in a single season at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Hasn't been done since Kurt Busch in 2004, and actually Jimmy Johnson did it the year before that in 2003, and Kurt Busch in 2004. So, you know, the numbers say, or not in Matt Kenseth's favor, to be able to sweep this weekend, but he's certainly pretty good right now at New Hampshire.
The Senior Manager of Content Communications for NASCAR IMC Department has joined us now, Mike Forde. If you listen to The Morning Drive or Sirius XM Fantasy, he's also known as Loop Dog because he's an expert on loop data. Mike, how are you?
Good, guys. What's happening? Thanks for having me on. This is another big weekend, chase race number 2, and this is New Hampshire's. It's always a tough one for fantasy. I mean, a lot of the favorites that you would think sometimes don't do so well. So it's good for analysis standpoint, and obviously, check out all the practice reports on both NASCAR.com and MRN.com. You guys do a great job in showing the 10-lap consecutive averages and things like that. You really got to do your homework for New Hampshire. I've noticed that more than almost any other track. It's a very analytical track, I think.
You know, Mike, we go to New Hampshire. The last time we were there was back in the middle of July, and now we're going towards the end of September now. Certainly not as close as some of the races that we see throughout the summer, like Michigan's or Poconos are pretty close together. Would you start your team for New Hampshire this weekend based on what happened in July, or do you want to maybe go back to like last fall at New Hampshire to start picking your team?
I wouldn't be too worried about the space and time between the two races. I mean, usually if you're good at one track, at one race in July, you're good in the chase race. I mean, you really just got to look at no further than Matt Kenseth, who won July and also won last year's September race. He's looking for his third consecutive win at New Hampshire and has been good at every single month at New Hampshire. Same with Joey Logano. I think those are two guys that have done well at both races. Denny Hamlin's another guy. There's a number of them out there that it doesn't matter what the temperature. I haven't looked at the forecast, but clearly it was going to pretty hot in July. Probably cool off a little bit, but from the statistical standpoint, it doesn't look like that really has played much of a factor between the two. There's no guys that are starkly better or worse in the two races.
Mike, there's a 3-time champion who finished second the last time we were here. He has the second best driver rating among active drivers, only behind Denny Hamlin. Of course, we're talking about Tony Stewart. He hasn't run well of late, but would you put him back on your fantasy team this week heading to New Hampshire?
It kind of depends on where he starts. I think Tony would probably be a very good place differential play. If you're playing the NASCAR.com Fantasy Live game or DraftKings, they have that place differential category. I know the fantasy players know it very well, but it's you get bonus points for finishing well ahead of your starting position. He did that in the July race. He started second, started 12th, finished second. So that's going to get you 10 bonus points. That's pretty huge because you don't have many laps to play with. 300 laps this weekend, so the lap lead figures aren't going to be huge, and neither will the fast laps run because obviously you can only get fast laps run when there's green flag racing. There's going to be a number of cautions. There always is at New Hampshire. So you really got to get the bonus points where you can, and I think Tony would be a guy that you want to look out for place differential. I mean, he's had positive place differentials in each of the last 4 races and double-digit place differential bonus points in each of the last 2. So in this race last year, started 27th, finished 11th. Big points to be had there.
Mike, I know everyone's going to be focusing on the chase drivers this weekend, and you want to stock your team full of chase drivers this weekend. Let's talk about some potential spoilers to upset some of the chase drivers. Obviously, Ryan Newman, Casey Kane, both have top 10 driver ratings at New Hampshire. Both have won there before. And another guy making another infrequent start in the Sprint Cup Series, Alex Bowman. He was in the top 10 a long time in July's race until he had the tire problem. Alex Bowman, is he a guy in the number 88 car driving for Dale Jr. that you would look at this weekend?
Yes, 100%. The first time out, I don't think I would have. One, his price was way too high. I want to say it was almost in the $20 range in the NASCAR.com game. Now it's dipped down to $16.50, which is way more palatable. He's in that Ryan Blaney territory. He's actually only a quarter less than Tony Stewart, oddly enough. But like you said, I think for all the reasons you just said, he showed his strength big time in that first New Hampshire race. It was really impressive until he had that problem at the end. And lately he's had even better runs. I mean, last week at Chicagoland is really impressive run. A 10th place finish. I think he's finally getting the hang of it and calming down a little bit. I know there had to have been some nerves there replacing Dale Jr. in the 88. But more than anything, it's a you pair the run that he had in July with that price point of $16.50. I think those are a recipe for an absolute start. That's a guy you can sort of slot in the number 4 position and really feel good about it.
Yeah, I got to tell you a story about the last time we went to New Hampshire. You guys added Alex Bowman. Well, for some reason I was there probably the first 5 minutes you added him because I got him at $7.
Oh.
And I locked him in at $7, and then he jumped up to like 20 or something like that. And
that's awesome.
Rich Colbreth was so mad at me because I had him locked in at $7. And halfway through that race, I'm like, "This is a steal," and then he wrecked. But yeah, I think because he was $7 last year at Tommy Bolden Racing, you guys just threw him in there, and then for some reason I was on the site right then, and that's the price he was. But then of course he jumped up probably 2 hours later, and Anyways, yeah. I rigged the system.
Sounds like an SEC violation or something. There's some insider trading going on right there.
And I was at the beach. I was on vacation, so I knew nothing about this until after the fact.
Wow. Who would you have on your – well, you play NASCAR.com with your IMC folks. Who do you have on your team this week?
All right. Well, I'm going to go with how I usually – format it is I usually go 3 big guns and then sort of a $15-ish and then a lower price guy. So this week I'm going to start off with Joey Logano, then Matt Kenseth. I think those are the top 2 picks you have to start in this one. Then I'm going to go with Denny Hamlin, Alex Bowman, and I'm going to say Chris Buescher only because I've had Chris Buescher in my lineup since Pocono. So if those that play the NASCAR.com game know that if you get a guy at the lower end of the price spectrum, you get to keep him at that price forever and ever unless you drop him and then repick him up. So I have him at $5.50 in my lineup. So I got a really deep discount because he's about $11 right now. So that's the only reason why. It's a little bit of a cheat, but that's what I've been doing for the last couple months now.
I like that team. I have the first 3 as well.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
great.
I have Logano, Kenseth, and Hamlin. I think are going to be the 3 guys that are stout this week. I think Kyle Busch would be pretty decent. I think Truex, of course, going for a Hail Mary. He doesn't care what happens this week. He wants to win a race, so I would potentially look at him. But, yes, I do like the first 3.
Yeah, exactly. I think Truex is an interesting one. It's sort of a boom or bust with him in New Hampshire. He's like there's no bonus points for the second round, so it's really all about pride in that trophy right now. He's good to go. So I think that's an interesting pick, and I think he's one of those guys that are just he quietly a championship favorite right now. He might be number 1, just the way he's running lately. So I think that's probably a good call. But you can't go wrong with any of the Gibbs guys. We both have Kenseth and Hamlin on our lineup, and the 2 guys you said maybe you would think about doing is Kyle Busch and
maybe
Truex
Keselowski too.
Yeah, Keselowski is good. I think the Penske guys and the Gibbs cars are very strong. Hendrick, maybe want to give him another race before going all in on that, even though they had such a good Chicagoland race. But as far as New Hampshire goes, Jimmy's good. good there, but I think you probably want to take it easy a little bit on the Hendrick guys. Although Chase Elliott, look at the practices, he's on the verge. You got to think he's going to win one of these races here.
All right, Mike, real quick, who's the winner on Sunday?
I'm going to go Joey Logano. I think it's home track, very strong here. It's his favorite track. Loves it. He wrote a first-person story on NASCAR.com about how much he loves this track. He's called it his win there in 2014 was bigger than his Daytona 500 win.
Wow.
So I think I'm liking Logano, and he wants it bad, but also is very, very strong here, and he's got this track down. So I'm going to go Joey Logano.
Logano looking for his 5th straight top 5. Mike, thanks so much for joining us. We love talking to you, man.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on. I love being on. Love talking to you guys. It was fun.
Mike Forde, everyone, Senior Manager of Content Communications for the NASCAR IMC department, also known as Loop Dog. Very, very smart guy, and we love talking to him. One final break. We'll be back here on the Inside Line Fantasy Racing Show presented by Hercules Tires.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
The Inside Line will return in just a moment.
Whatever you drive, wherever you go, Hercules Tires will get you there, whether you're running on dirt or running a job. Our dependable, high-quality tires are the perfect fit for your needs. For unmatched value, selection, and warranty with industry-leading road hazard protection, there's only one choice: Hercules Tires. To learn more, visit HerculesTire.com or call 800-677-9535. Hercules Tires, right on our strength.
It's that time of year again, folks. We're in the thick of race season, and the finish line is approaching. You better keep those brats on the barbecue and those beverages in the cooler, because this is the fun part. Toyota Racing is cheering on the team until those checkered flags are waving. The NASCAR Sprint Cup can only go to one car and driver, and we hope it's one of ours in Camry. Just last year, Kyle Busch took home the Sprint Cup Series championship in his Camry, and we're looking to keep that winning tradition alive. So let's go, Kyle Busch. Let's go, Carl Edwards. Let's go, Matt Kenseth. Let's go, Denny Hamlin. Let's go, Camry. And let's go to our newest team member, Martin Truex Jr. Toyota Racing Team, keep your feet on those gas pedals, and may we see one of you doing victory laps this year. Head on over to ToyotaRacing.com to find more info on our team of drivers. NASCAR is a registered trademark of the National Association for Stock Car Auto Racing, Inc.
Now it's back to Robbie Mays and Tyler Burnett on the Inside Line.
Welcome back to the Inside Line Fantasy Racing Show presented by Hercules Tires. I'm Robbie Mays. He is Tyler Burnett. And speaking of that, it's time to play our favorite game of the week, Under a Rock or Tyler.
Do you live your life up under a rock? Or are you Tyler Burnett?
Tyler Burnett is 5-7. Let's keep it like that on the losing end. Okay, this is a multi-part episode of Under a Rock this week. We're going to show you a photo.
It's not going to help.
Of a group. If you can identify the group and then 2 members of the group while we play a song. So, guys, Donald, Daryl, let's cue it up and let's play it.
Okay. I do not know 2 members. I know 1.
Who is this group collectively?
I know it's Aerosmith.
Thank God. Okay.
I know that's Steven Tyler.
Okay.
I do not know any of the other ones. I have no idea. Another one.
Okay, so
I'm just not gonna embarrass myself because I'll say somebody and you'll be like, well, he's from the Beatles or something like that. You know? Like I'll say like Paul McCartney and you'll be like, he's with the Beatles.
Okay, so you got that wrong.
Who are the members?
Steven Tyler, Joe Perry, Brad Whitford, Joey Kramer, or Tom Hamilton. We would have accepted any of those.
Single one of those.
5 and 8.
The only thing I know about Tom Hamilton is he is the voice of the Cleveland Indians.
No. Okay. I don't even know where to go.
I'm not 5 and 8. I got Aerosmith and I got Steven Tyler. That's ridiculous.
The rule was you had to name 2 members
What's
of the band.
What's up with the rules now?
2 members. You got it wrong. You are under a rock. Let's play Rango. Rango. 5 and 8.
So every week you guys have been saying, all I need to do is get one thing right about this object. Now there's like a certain amount of things I have to say.
And I put the rules out there on the table beforehand.
That's ridiculous. Chicken time. 16 of Greg Biffle. 20th of Matt Kenseth. 11 of Denny Hamlin. Chase Elliott, the 24, and Chris Buescher, 34. Matt Kenseth is the winner, and Toyota is his manufacturer. So Biffle, Kenseth, Hamlin, Elliott, and Buescher. Pretty solid team.
That's solid. I like it.
Biffle has, what did I say, 2 top 5s in a row.
Yeah.
And looking for his, so he was 4th in this race last year and 5th in July.
Yeah.
So Biffle is
he's
a
pretty
pretty
good here.
stout pick.
Yeah.
Yes. Anyways.
Winner.
My winner heading into this weekend is Denny Hamlin. I think anytime you go to a flat, short track, especially up there in the Northeast, Denny Hamlin is the guy to beat. So I think Denny Hamlin wins just because he won at Richmond, and I think he's going to move on to the next round of the chase by winning this weekend.
Okay. I think Joey Logano gets the job done this weekend at New Hampshire Motor Speedway.
All right.
And that's it.
Logano, Hamlin, our picks. Mike Forde picks. Who did he pick?
He picked Joey Logano.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyways. Coming up next week, we head to Dover, but UNOH 175, the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series, is Saturday at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time on MRN. For Robbie Mays, I'm Tyler Burnett, our producer Daryl Smith, Donald Culver. Thank you. We'll see you later here on the Inside Line.
You've been listening to The Inside Line, presented by Hercules Tires. Stream us every Friday on MotorRacingNetwork.com or on the MRN app. The Inside Line is also available on demand at the MRN.com Media Center or download it through iTunes or Stitcher. The Inside Line is a production of the Motor Racing Network.